Mukam karati vachalam rangam langate girim yaki pantam vande shiguru devatavinam. Om Magana Tivrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chukshumiritam Yena Testamai Shri Ganavi Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Samiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishe Shunyavadi Ashati Deshatavine. So the topic today is Lord Nrsimha. So I will say one prayer from Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, verse 8. Om Namah Bhagavate Narshingaya Namaste Jaste Jase Aviravi Bhava Vajanakam Vajarangshta Karmashayam Randaya Randaya Tamagaskas Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayama Mani Uishta Om Sham. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimha, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth, just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. So in the purport, Prabhupada describes pure devotional service without, we need to be desireless. And then we will please Krishna favorably without desire for profit or philosophical speculation. So we need the help of Lord Nrsimha to be performing pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says Hiranyakashipu is like the incarnation of materialistic enjoyment. Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means soft bed, and materialistic persons always want to make the body comfortable, and of course, and they also a lot of money in order to have a comfortable life. So Hiranyakashipu was a representative of materialistic life, and Prahlad was his son, and he was a devotee, and so therefore his father was giving him so much disturbance. So we also we're in between the divine and demoniac. We have both qualities. And so we need to pray to Lord Nrsimha to help us become free from the materialistic qualities. In Mayapur, there is our Lord Nrsimha, beautiful Lord Nrsimha. Now he's covered with chandan, so he looks very happy, smiling instead of ferocious. Looks like a happy cat. And so, but actually, he's very sweet inside. So one Russian lady, she used to make tulsi garlands for Nrsimhadev every day. And Nrsimhadev's pujari gave her one of Lord Nrsimhadev's false fingernails as prasad. I actually have one of them myself too. If I can find it, I'll show you. Here it is. This one, it's inside here. One of his fingernails. So this lady, the night she got the fingernail, she had a dream. And she saw Lord Nrsimhadev was sitting on her bed. And he put his fingers, his long nails, inside her heart and pulled out something black and said, "You see this? This is not love. This is lust. And there is still more there. What shall I do with it?" She couldn't reply in her dream, but her dream broke. And next morning she went to Lord Nrsimhadev Didi and said, "Okay, please throw it far away." And so the Nrsimhadev, he's very kind. He comes. Sometimes I also have that experience. If I'm in trouble in my dream, I chant the Nrsimha mantra, and he comes to save me. And so Hiranyakashipu had a heart full of lust. He saw God as his enemy, and he said, "Prahlad, how have you gone to the side of the enemy? You should worship me." And so this is the atheist. Can you show me God? Where is God? So Prabhupada said, yes, yes, you will see, but not now. But when all your sinful activities become mature and death will come, you will see. You will see him at death. No problem. And so the devotee, he sees uh, in his heart, he sees Krishna, he sees in the temple, he sees the deity, and everywhere he sees Krishna. And the atheist also sees, when Prabhupada said, when the handles of the clock are finished and death comes, he will also see. So Prahlad was innocent. His only fault was that he was a devotee. And he was not interested in childish playthings in his childhood. He was just silent and dull, just being absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He couldn't understand how is the world going on, so absorbed in sense gratification. And sometimes the Lord would come to him, and he would start calling in great anxiety and dancing. And sometimes, like the child cries when the mother leaves the child, when he felt the Lord was going far away, then he would start crying. Now, his crying was different from our kids crying. He was crying for Krishna. He was crying for. Actually, in the fourth chapter of seventh canto, it's described that he was attached to Krishna, Krishna Graha. He was controlled by the Krishna planet. So he was actually worshiping Krishna, but Krishna came in the form of Nrsimhadev. So he was a Mahabhagavad. He had the ointment of love smeared on his eyes, so he can see. But in the material world, everyone has cataracts, so they cannot see God. These very heavy cataracts. Prabhupada said, you want to see God? Then I have to make operation so you can see. So Prabhupada was giving a lecture in the East Coast in the early days. And someone came dressed in a long robe with moons and stars and very long hair, carefully arranged. And he was glaring at Prabhupada during the lecture. And then at the end, he asked the question, what about Buddha? And Prabhupada said, what about Buddha? And then he said, can you see God? He said to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, no, because you are in the way. I cannot see. So the false ego gets in the way. And so Shingadev helps us to remove this false ego. Um, so Prahlad Maharaj was always seeing Krishna, but his father was not seeing because he was an atheist. He was always challenging, where is your God? You're always talking about God. I'll teach you a lesson. I'll kill you. Let me see your God. Come here and protect you. So he took his sword. He wanted to kill his own son. And Shingadev burst out from the pillar. And after the death of his father, the Lord asked, what benediction would you like, Prahlad? Prahlad said, please excuse my father. So he was so compassionate, very kind. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripasinda yevacha. And so Prabhupada was also kind like that. There was one, especially with his devotees who would sometimes leave Krishna consciousness. There was one devotee who left Krishna consciousness and he was sitting on the beach at Juhu in Bombay. And Tamal Krishna was complaining about him to Prabhupada. You know what he's doing. This is the limit. He's learning from a yogi how to put a coin in one ear and make it come out from the other ear. So this is too much. Prabhupada said, no, no. He can also get the mercy. You do not know the mercy of Nityananda? So Prabhupada, he was embodying that mercy, just like Prahlad Maharaj also. In Mayapur, Pankajangri Prabhu was at first afraid to worship Nrsimhadev. So they said, why? Why you're not following the four regular principles? I said, of course. I am, but still, it's very fearful. He looks really scary. But then he found out that any deity brought to Mayapur takes the mood of the presiding deity, Adarya. So he took the mood of Lord Chaitanya. And although we hear in Lord and Chaitanya Charitamrita, although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. So Hiranyakashipu is very ferocious to non-devotees, but very gentle and kind to his devotees. When Hiranyakashipu, after he killed, Lord Nrsimha, after he killed Hiranyakashipu, then he picked up Prahlad and he was licking Prahlad, just like a mother lion. He was licking and making sure Prahlad was okay. And so this is the mercy of Nrsimhadev. In Bhagavatam, in 7th canto, 9th chapter, verse 5, it says, Swaparamule patitam tamarbakam vilokya deva kripaya paripluta utap yatatshinya tadatkaram bujam kala hivitrasta yam kita yam. Lord Nrsimhadev saw the small boy, Prahlad, bowing down at the soles of his lotus feet. He became most ecstatic in affection for his devotee. He picked him up, placed his lotus hand on the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all his devotees. And so Prabhupada, in his purport of that verse, talks about how we are all disturbed in this material world for disturbances, for necessities, which are very difficult to get. Ahara nidra bhaya maitana. So eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are the things that we feel are necessities in this material world. So, but Krishna consciousness means to make everyone fearless. So our hope of becoming fearless is to chant the name of Lord Nrsimha. Prabhupada says, Yato yato yamitato Nrsimha. So wherever we go, we should always think of Lord Nrsimha, and we won't be afraid. So it's Prabhupada also talks about the hand of Nrsimha, which touched Prahlad's head. Sing every day this Tabakara Kamala Bardena Kamadbhuta Shingam. So Kamala, his hand is like a lotus. At the same time, it is like sharp nails. So I've seen many lotus flowers, but there's nothing sharp in them. So this is a contradiction. How can something so soft like a lotus be so sharp? It is soft for the devotees, and it is hard for the demons. So by the touch of Lord Nrsimhadev's hand on Prahlad's head, Prahlad is free of all material contamination and desires, just like he had been thoroughly cleansed. And a lot of devotees who got embraced by Prabhupada had that same feeling when Prabhupada embraced them too. And so Prahlad got all the symptoms of ecstasy, tears coming from his eyes, and he caught the lotus feet of the Lord in his heart. So God was feeling, oh, how blissful is this hand. And not only he was feeling blissful, but all his material unhappiness at the same time disappeared. So this is the transcendental touch. Srila Prabhupada said, we also can have that touch of the hand of the Lord on our head immediately if we become like Prahlad Maharaj. So what is our facility? How can we get this touch on our head? Krishna's Nrsimhadev not here, no, and Krishna's not really here, but he is present by his holy name. It's not different from him. So if we want, Srila Prabhupada says, if we chant the holy name of Nrsimhadev, of Krishna, we will get the same benefit as Prahlad Maharaj got by having the hand of the Lord on his head. No difference, no difference. And so we all need protection, just like Arjuna. I mean, they say the ladies need protection, and that's true. But not only the ladies, the men need protection too. Arjuna needed protection on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna was protecting Arjuna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I will protect you. At the end, he says it. I will protect you, that you, Sarvadharma Piritaja Mame kam sharanam rajat. Ahang twang sarvapape vyo moksha yishyami ma shucha. So that means that give up all your nonsense ideas of protection. Another translation Prabhupada gave of that verse. Give up your nonsense ideas and just surrender to me, and I will protect you. Don't worry, I'll protect you. So in India, sometimes there are people who believe in this caste system um, according to birth, and so the Brahmanas they have the tendency, they think, oh, we're the best, and the Shudras and the women, they're not so good. They're not so important. Um, they are less intelligent. They need protection, and they can't go up. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Prabhupada said in a lecture, Krishna surpasses all these formalities. And that's ninth chapter, verse 32. Striya Vaishya Satushitas Tebi Yanti Parangatim. The women, the Shudras, the Vaishyas, they can all achieve the same perfection and go back to Godhead. So Krishna is giving facilities to everyone, even people who are following this Asuric caste system. They think, no, the women can't be devotees. Krishna says in Gita, no, you become woman, you're Shudra, you're Vaishya. It doesn't matter. You just take to Krishna conscious. He is there, and he will give you all protection. So I'm quoting Prabhupada from his lecture on that verse. All protection, and he will help you. And so that was Prabhupada's mood, that he said that everybody needs protection, not just the women. And of course, now there's so many single women, and they don't have a husband. So what will happen to them? Will they go back to Godhead? And the answer is yes. And already many have done that. Many women have, single women have gone back to Godhead. And so Prahlad Maharaj, we must be like him. We must accept his protection. Krishna wants to give us so much protection, but we don't accept it. We don't accept it. So we need to receive Krishna's protection. Now there's another verse from 7th canto, 9th chapter, verse 16. Prahlad Maharaj says, Tastosmya ham kripanavat saladu sahogra sangsara chakakaranat krasan ha pranita badha sakarma bi ushattamateng vimulam vita avagashavanam havayase adu na. Most powerful, insurmountable Lord, who are kind to the fallen souls, I have been put into association of demons as a result of my activities, and I'm so much afraid of my condition of life in this material world. When will that moment come when you will call me to the shelter of your lotus feet? So Prahlad was not afraid of Nrsimha. All the demigods were afraid. And that's why they pushed Prahlad forward to offer prayers. Even Brahma, he tried. Nobody could pacify Nrsimha, who was roaring. Only Prahlad could do that. So, and then Prahlad said, but I am afraid of one thing. I am afraid of bad association. Please protect me from that. I need to be protected, and I want to hear your call. How do we hear the call of Krishna? How do we hear the call of Nrsimhadev? Yes, this is a very, very important question we should ask ourselves. How is Krishna calling me? Is he calling me in the kirtan? Is he calling me in the japa? Is he calling me in the books I'm reading? And so tomorrow, well, for us, it actually, Nrsimhadev's appearance is tomorrow. I don't know about you, but for us, it's tomorrow. And so that's a good question. Hear the call of Nrsimhadev. Pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection. That's very, very important. And then we will become fearless. And if we're fearless, then we're liberated. Because one reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what does it mean to be liberated? And Srila Prabhupada said, liberation means that you are fearless. So Nrsimhadev will help us. He's very important in the lives of the devotees of Radha Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, very, very important. And it was in Chaitanya Chaitamrita that Lord Chaitanya was praying to Lord Nrsimha also, and he visited his temple. So we're chanting, actually, Pakanjankri says, why worship Nrsimhadev when we have Radha Madhava? And so he answered two things, two reasons why we worship Lord Nrsimhadev. First of all, to worship Radha Madhava, there's so many obstacles in our heart, and Nrsimhadev can remove them. Secondly, Radha Madhava, they're in their Leela 24 hours. So Krishna has appeared as Nrsimhadev. So if we need protection, if we have health problems, if we have anarthas, then he will help us. We can pray. There's online puja. There's ways you can contact Nrsimhadev in Mayapur, and he will help you. And he's infallible. So we need the mercy of Nrsimhadev to be free from anarthas. Pankajangri again was saying, while addressing the Lord and remembering his mercy, I'm thinking how some people misunderstand our purpose of worshiping Lord Nrsimha. Sometimes devotees say that worship of Nrsimhadev is Vaikuntha Bhav. We cannot take one to Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna, Radha and Krishna are living. But Lord Nrsimhadev is very particularly inclined towards devotees of Radha and Krishna. So, yes, we should worship him. He's Krishna, appearing in this form to reciprocate with our desire to remove all the obstacles in our devotional service. If one can always raise his hands and call out with great love the names of Nitai Gaur and Radha Madhava, that's wonderful. But if there is something in your heart that is stopping you from that spontaneous call, why not go in all humility before Lord Nrsimhadev and pray that with his sharp nails he may pierce those crooked desires in your heart and throw them far away. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also prays. He says, I'll pray at the feet of Lord Nrsimhadev, purify my heart and give me the desire to worship Shri Radha and Krishna in Navadvip Dham, free from all obstacles. At that moment, Lord Nrsimhadev's mercy I'll get. Now his symptoms of ecstatic love for Radha and Krishna are roll on the ground by the door of Lord Nrsimhadev's temple. Isn't that interesting? To get Radha Krishna, we can worship Nrsimhadev. Lord Chaitanya, he came to Shivas Thakur before he was revealing himself for the first time. Before he didn't tell that he was Krishna, but how did he reveal himself in his Leela? He came to the door of Shivas while Shivas was worshiping his Nrsimha deity, because Shivas was so afraid. He was a little fearful because of his kirtan. All the non-devotees were complaining, and they say, yes, the government is going to come and throw your house into the Ganga, and there were a lot of threats. So he was going to Nrsimhadev and praying, and Lord Chaitanya came, and he banged the door open, and he said, Shivas, don't you know that I am the same person you are worshiping behind those closed doors? And so Lord Chaitanya said, yes, I am Nrsimhadev. So it's very much in Chaitanya Leela. One time he was in the mood of Lord Nrsimhadev running down the streets, and people were so afraid of him because he was in that angry mood. But then his devotee stopped him. Advaita Acharya, he offered tulsi and Ganga water and loudly called the Lord to come. He worshipped Nrsimha Shalagram. It was Nrsimhadev. He was worshipping also. And so these great devotees, Advaita Shivas, two of the Panchatattva, they were worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev. And so we should take lessons from this Leela of Nrsimhadev, that even when we're in a dangerous position, don't forget Krishna. Krishna will save us. I was remembering one story. My god sister, we were living in Calcutta. She was living with her husband, and she was coming out early in the morning one morning with her husband to come to Mangalarti, like maybe 3:30 in the morning. And one thief came with a big knife, and he wanted to steal from her husband. And she just chanted the Shinga mantra, and she got so angry and so ferocious that the thieves got afraid, and she started chasing them down the street. And she really got in the mood of the Shingadev. He came and he possessed her, and the thieves saw it, and they got so afraid they started running. And she was chasing after them. She didn't have any way to defend herself, but she just went crazy, like with the Shingadev mantra. So yes, he can save you. Um, and so her Lord was very concerned about his father. He told the Shingadev, "My father has committed so many offenses. Kindly give him liberation." He didn't ask anything for himself. So Nrsimhadev said, "Why worry about your father? Your father's father, his father, 14 generations are all liberated because a son like you is in this family." So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has said that if a pure devotee is born in a family 100 generations before and 100 generation descendants after will be liberated. And if a preacher devotee, medium devotee, second class devotee is born in a family 14 generations before and 14 generations after will be liberated. And if a neophyte, a new devotee, is born in a family 3 generations before and 3 generations after, will be liberated. So even if we think we're just a new devotee, that's okay. We can liberate every 3 generations before and after. And that includes everyone, the uncles, the cousins, everyone. And so we do have an example in our ISKCON movement of how this is happening. In Jadum Maharaj, he said, "I tried my best to help my mother in spiritual life, and unfortunately, throughout most of her life, she never showed the slightest interest in religion. I once asked her, 'Do you believe in God?' And she replied, 'Something may be out there.' Whenever I visited her, we would debate the existence of the soul, life after death, karma. And he said, I was cultivating through the years that little something in her heart, sending her Srila Prabhupada's books, which ended up in the garage, in a pile in the back of her garage. A few years ago, she telephoned me late one night. It was an unusual hour to call. I was surprised to hear from her. She began the conversation asking if I would take her to Vrindavan. I was shocked. Her wants to go to Vrindavan? Well, how does she even know what Vrindavan is? She insisted, and I wanted to know when we could go. Although I was intrigued at this prospect, it was very late and I was tired. So I said, "Okay, I'll call you back next morning and we can discuss." So he woke up, he called, his brother answered the phone, and Raj said, "Can I speak to Mom?" Now there was a prolonged silence. And I said something was wrong. He said, Mom passed away last night. So I was stunned. What happened? I talked to her only last night. He said, I know. She was battling cancer for 6 months. She didn't want to tell you. Cancer. Did she say anything at the... Yes, he did. Yes, she did, he replied. She said, don't lament for me. I'm not this body. I'm eternal. Spirit soul. I'll never die. I'm going to Krishna. With those words on her lips, she passed away. So Marish said, I couldn't believe it. My mother, the intellectual, never went to church, inquired about God, was going to Krishna. And so his brother said, when Mom learned she had cancer and was going to die, strange transformation came over her. She became restless and unsettled. She began asking about you, wanting to know where you were, what you were doing. She had intense desire to meet you, to speak with you. But when I suggested calling you, she'd always say, no, don't bother him now. We'll contact him later. So one morning, I went out to the garage to empty the garbage, and I found her going through all those books you had sent her during the past 25 years. She looked up at me and asked me to carry them into the house. That afternoon, she carefully dusted them off. For the last 5 months, she just sat in her rocking chair reading those books. Sometimes she'd underline a certain passage or quote that had particular relevance to her. She also contacted your tape ministry in London and ordered all your lecture tapes. She'd listen to them on her headphones, rocking back and forth, looking at your picture, which she kept on the table nearby. She must have listened to at least 3 a day. Gradually, her condition deteriorated, but she wasn't afraid. I think there was something in those books that made her fearless. Then last night, she sensed she was going to die. She told me to call you. Her last request was that you take her to a place called Vrindavan. So Maharaj said, I put the phone down and cried, not out of mundane sentiment or attachment, but in appreciation that my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, had extended his mercy to my mother and delivered her from material existence. So then several weeks later, I took her ashes and put them in Jamuna River, Vrindavan. So, yes, this is, if we worship Krishna with the help of Lord Nrsimha, of course, he can really help us a lot, because we do have all these obstacles we're purified from. So I want to read you one last story from this book from Mayapur about Lord Nrsimha. And the title is Lord Nrsimha shows his mercy even to a non-devotee. So this is devotees. The daughter's name is Yashoda Mata. So Yashoda Mata, her foster father was in hospital, and she was playing Hare Krishna mantra all the time, by his bed. He was like in a semi-coma, but when he heard the Maha Mantra, he was waking up. His eyes were closed, and he was enjoying the music, and he was tapping his hand on the edge of the bed, and his finger made the sound. This ring was making a sound, don, 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 don. And he looked like he was meditating on Maha Mantra. Suddenly he spoke. Look, there's a huge 5-clawed lion. His head is just like a lion, and he's coming here. Can you see him? Then he said, oh, no, I forgot. You cannot see him. But he's really here. I don't know who he is. So then Yashoda and her daughters looking at each other and say, Father, he's Lord Nrsimha. What, Dave? I don't know him, but he's nodding his head to tell me, yes, he is. So Yashoda was feeling great ecstasy because she keeps the model of Nrsimha Deity from Mayapur and was offering prayers to him so her father could leave the body without any attachment, and his soul can become Krishna's devotee in his next birth. So his father said, look, he's smiling at me and speaking. He's telling me I have to learn to chant what you are chanting. What are you chanting? So then she said, it's a mantra to call the holy name of the Lord. He said, I don't know what mantra, but please teach me. She said, all right, Father. Please repeat after me and listen carefully. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So patiently, she was teaching her foster father, and he learned and he started chanting. Next day, he passed away with tranquility. So during that weekend, the devotees came together and did kirtan at the funeral service. And she prepared prasadam garland, ganga water, tulsi, and put tilak on her father, which were all done nicely and properly according to her Guru Maharaj, Giridhari Swami. And her foster father's face looked so peaceful. His cheeks were a little pink and his body was soft. After some ceremonies, the body was sent to the incinerator. A few hours later, the people who work in the memorial service came and said, we have never seen anyone's ashes look so white and beautiful like jade as your father's. What happened to him? What were you chanting for him? Could you write it down for us? We want to learn. We think we can also chant while doing our service here, burning the bodies. And so this is why the Lord himself personally appeared before someone who was not a devotee. Proves this statement that if one is always engaged in devotional service of the Lord, all their family members will be benefited as well. So, Srila Prabhupada, we are all very, very fortunate because Srila Prabhupada has given us this process. He has given us Lord Nrsimha also. Even a child can take part, even an old man, even a dog. I see a lot of videos of Harinam parties with dogs dancing, even when deer was dancing. And so, yeah, it's very simple. Even this 5-year-old can be a Mahabhagavat. And we should just try to follow the footsteps. So I will stop here. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.